lalita lilitu. Lilit lalita lilitu. Lilit lalita lilitu. Lilit lalita lilitu. Lilit lalita lilitu. Lila lilit lalita lilitu. Lila lilit lalita lilitu. Lila lilit lalita lilitu. Lila lili lila lila lalita lilitu.
All right, guys. Hello. Happy Sunday to you guys. So, back to our regularly scheduled programming. I've been wanting to come and talk to you guys about possession for quite some time. And so today would be the best day to come and to do that. Okay. Spiritual possession. The way that they talk about spiritual possession um, in movies and in other texts, it's always a negative thing. Anything that you see in Hollywood, for example, my favorite movie, Skeleton Key. And basically, what that movie was about very old and ancient spirits of people that figured out how to possess others. So basically, that's what they were doing in that movie, was they were possessing people. And spiritual possession does work in that way, but when you are advanced in witchcraft, possession is something that is wanted and it is valued and it is cherished when you're in witchcraft. Okay. Now, if you are somebody that has basic skills, very basic, okay, um, if you're a psychic medium, you have the ability to be possessed. And the thing about possession that I love more than anything, because when I work with certain deities or certain spirits, I will ask those spirits to possess me. And I know that that's probably very scary to a lot of people. But the thing of it is that when you are under possession, you also possess the spiritual gifts of that spirit, ghost, or deity that you are under possession from. So it's not actually a bad thing. It actually helps. Now, if you're under demonic possession, then that's a totally different thing. But when it comes to mainstream religion, they consider every other deity besides Jesus or Allah or other deities those are considered to be demons. Okay, so everybody has their different ideal of what a demon is. Okay, and there have been more than enough people that have literally lost their lives because of miseducation and being misled by a lot of religious people that are scared. Um, it's almost like dealing with the boogeyman. They're afraid of the boogeyman. Okay. But when you become very advanced in the craft that you do, you'll start to realize that possession is actually a good thing. Now, this is going to be for people that are more so advanced, okay, who have an advanced knowledge of witchcraft. And there's a lot of people out there that can be possessed by lower level entities and demons, and they don't know how to get rid of that stuff. So for me, I am a high priestess. Demons are afraid of me. That's why they always messing with me and running around in circles, because they're just in a tizzy. They're having a tizzy fit or whatever. And I don't want to say demons, but I want to say the people that want to be demons, okay? Because everybody don't have no demon. And demons, in my humble opinion, are not bad. Okay. Now, demons can be classified under anything that goes against, sorry guys, I got to jump off camera real quick. A demon is considered anything other than Jesus Christ, even though Jesus Christ, if Jesus does possess you, it's considered the Holy Spirit. Okay. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So a lot of times when I work with these certain deities, I will invite them in to possess me, which means that not only do I have the supernatural powers that I was born with, but then I also have the supernatural power of that particular deity. Okay, until I say that I don't want it anymore, or until they move on to someone else. What's up, Smarty Girl and Zybel? Hello. So spiritual possession is not necessarily a bad thing. Spiritual possession can also be done with words, which is why the Bible is one of the biggest things. I mean, if you look, and the movies that they make in Hollywood will give you somewhat of a clue. For example, the possession of I've got this movie. I actually have downloaded it. Okay. Let me show y'all what I'm talking about. There's a lot of different movies, The Possession of Hannah Grace, but there's one in particular that was actually very, very popular. Well, The Exorcist, of course, is one of them. But see, if you notice, usually when somebody is demon possessed, okay, and it comes out of the context of the Bible, okay, The Exorcism of Emily Rose, that's one that's very, very haunting. Hello, guys. Hello, Jay Lawrence. Hello, Shireen. Hello. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I appreciate that a lot. I appreciate that a lot. For example, The Exorcism of Emily Rose. A lot of people, whatever you believe in is what you're going to be possessed under. That is the spirit that is going to possess you. So if you believe in demonic possession as being a negative, and if you have been taught that demons are evil and bad, then that is what's going to manifest. This is why we have some demons that, or some people that are possessed, and, they're walking around talking to themselves, which talking to yourself is not being demon possessed necessarily, because a lot of people probably have thought I was talking to myself, but I was actually talking to my spirits. Okay. So, but demonic possession is right here. So if you grow up your entire life and you're reading a Bible and the Bible tells you that this spirit is going to make you do this or that spirit is going to make you do that, then that's exactly what's going to manifest, because they all need your brain. Okay. So spiritual possession can come. What was that? Demonic spiritual possession can come in many, many forms. Okay. And it really depends on how you look at things. So, for example, if you're somebody that is demon possessed and you think that a person that is demon possessed is going to go out and, have sex with a bunch of people and go crazy, then that's exactly what's going to happen to you. So everything comes from your mind. The thing about spirituality is that if you don't take control of your own spirits, of your own mind, body, and spirit, then anything will be able to get in. And that's what I'm seeing a lot with a lot of these people. You know what I'm saying? Even on YouTube, they can become demonically possessed, but it's more so of a lower level realm. If you are doing very high magic, or I guess that's what they call high magic, or if you're doing advanced magic, let's say advanced magic. If you're doing advanced magic and you choose to work with deities, or you choose to work with your ancestors, for example, there are a lot of times where I will feel possessed by my grandmother. And I'll actually do a lot of things that she used to do. Drink brandy, smoke cigarettes. I've been possessed by my grandmother for like probably the past couple of months. I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. So, but I don't drink brandy, I drink wine. But I say that to say that in order for you to actually and truly take control of your spiritual self, you have to stop, first of all, being afraid. Okay, that's the first mistake that so many people make. People are so afraid of themselves. So a lot of times, for example, now we're not talking about my stalker, but you may have a stalker and the person that's stalking you could be you. We're not talking about a separate entity. This person is a separate entity. But a lot of times you may think something is behind you, and it's you. And the proper training, because there's so many people in this world that are psychic mediums. They can, people can actually channel through them. Okay. And so whenever I do any work on anybody, I am not attacking necessarily that person, but rather the demon or the demonic entity that is inside of them. So a lot of people will, for example, we've got these people sending me emails and pretending to be people or not pretending to be people, but it doesn't matter, because spirit is going to know who it is. You see what I'm saying? And spirit is going to know exactly where to go with that energy and that information. So a lot of people don't have a whole lot of trust in the spirits because they don't really have a lot of trust in themselves. And when it comes to witchcraft, if you're going to do it, you have to do it 1000%. You can't be a witch Monday through Saturday, and then on Sunday you go to church praying for forgiveness. This is something that is very, very frowned upon in the spiritual community, because what is there for you to be forgiven for? What did you do wrong? You didn't allow yourself to be possessed by somebody else's demons or somebody else's lower level energy. And that's literally what they'll tell you. And they'll tell you, don't go and see a spiritualist because they don't know what they talking about. And if you go and do that, you surely gonna die and something bad gonna happen to you. Well, you're gonna die, but not in the physical sense. You're gonna possibly die in more so the spiritual sense. Nobody can kill you. You can only kill yourself. See what I'm saying? You can only kill yourself. There is nobody in this world, technically, that can kill you. You can only do it for yourself. And so we've got people that are very, very afraid of spiritualism, but they're surrounded by spirits. You're constantly surrounded by spirits, constantly. They roam around. Now, the difference between a lot of people versus me is that I don't see them. They don't just come and materialize right in front of my face. It's more of a third eye sense where you can actually see them. Okay. Neurolay, do I believe that there are good witches? Absolutely. But I also think that witches, in order to survive, they have to be bad. You can't just go around this world just being good. The spirits is not designed that way. It's not. So yeah, I'm a good witch because I've manifested several different gifts. I'm a healer. I'm a telepath. I'm an empath. Right? So I possess on my own several different gifts. Okay. So to be honest with you, I don't necessarily have to go to another deity for possession, but those deities will want to work with you. And they'll ask you, they'll say, can I take over your body? So for example, you can be spiritually possessed and that particular deity wants to have sex. They'll want to have sex. And they have no other way to experience that except through you. Okay. Yeah, duality does exist. There's nobody in this world that are just 100% good. It is, especially when it comes to witchcraft, because I'm going to tell y'all something. As soon, and see, I started in witchcraft like I think it's probably been like 16 or 17 years. Okay, hold on a second. I started in witchcraft years ago. And I was afraid of possession. But what I noticed is that whenever I would practice witchcraft, everything would come out. Like everybody that wasn't my friend, they would attack me. Everybody that was fake in my life, they would all come for me. And so that is spirit letting you know what is going on. So a lot of people that will get into witchcraft, they'll say, well, I can't handle this because, everybody that I know turned against me. Well, those people that you knew was against you anyway. You just didn't know it, and spirit revealed it to you. So a lot of people will be afraid, which is why the hermit card in the tarot deck is so important, because the hermit is the shaman. Okay. And the shaman travels between good and bad. Okay. Either the lower world or the demonic realm. And then they can also travel to other areas. So shamans are very, very, very unbiased when it comes to the things that are in the world. Okay. So, and it's because they have a deeper level of understanding of what this world is. So a lot of people that are upset and they're very disturbed by this world, well, you just gonna have to get used to it. Because nowhere will you ever not find any evil happening on this earth realm. It's going to be evil and it's going to be good. And what you have to do is make sure that whatever that evil is, don't happen to you. Because there's some people that have very, very protective spirits. Now, I have very, very protective spirits, okay? Obviously, I have very, very protective spirits, okay? You said you feel slow today, like you're just not getting it, okay? Yeah, so it is a balance, but that doesn't mean that, half of the time you got to be feeling evil, because 95% of the time, child, I be on cloud nine. I do. And I don't need drugs to do that. You know what I'm saying? That 95% of the time. So I spend 95% of my time in the clouds. And so a lot of the evil people that chase me, stalk me, harass me, because they're constantly in that spirit, in that negative spirit, they wanted to believe, oh, this person is always miserable because they're miserable. Oh, this person is always upset because we won't accept them. Well, you know what? I've already taken a certain oath and a certain vow with myself to just not care, because I already know what's going on in the world. And so people that are spiritually possessed, that can't control themselves, okay? People that are spiritually possessed that can't control themselves. And see, this is how you can tell when somebody's spiritually possessed. All of a sudden, this person that you have never said anything to, you've never done anything wrong to them, and they come up to you and they're harassing you. So that's the number one sign of a person that is spiritually possessed. And you guys have seen a lot of people that are possessed by my spirits and they hate it. Let me get off camera real quick. There are some people, such as myself, that have the power and the ability to possess people. Okay. Neurolay, yes. If you practice witchcraft, eventually you will have to commit a great evil. Yes. And it is because you have to be able to protect yourself. Okay. So you can't just go around saying love and light all the time. Everybody knows how loving I am. Everybody knows how compassionate I am. But when it comes to dealing with a negative spirit, I got to go to work. I can't be nice to a negative spirit that's trying to tear me down. And see, those negative spirits, they don't just come and attack me just off top. They got to have a host that is willing. So nobody's running around here innocent. Please believe there's a lot of people that will say, well, I didn't mean to do that to you. I was, I don't know what overcame me. No, those people have to be willing to be a conduit for that negative entity. Nobody just does something and they didn't know that they did it, except for maybe children, because children don't know no better. And then a lot of them are not taught any better. But if you are a grown person, you can't play dumb. You can't sit up here and say, oh, well, I know I did that to you, but I didn't really know what I was doing. Yeah, you did. You knew exactly what you were doing. Mm-hmm. Well, the reason why my spirits have possessed a lot of my enemies is because they have to, and they won't let them go until they help themselves. Okay, so a lot of people, like for example, I had this guy, and he was just calling and calling and bugging the hell out of me. And he called me and he said, stop stalking me. See, that was my spirits doing that. And it's not that they were stalking you, it was just that they were watching you. And the reason why they were watching you is because they were watching your spirits and they knew what your spirit was going to do. So they stay on you. As far as when it comes to the music industry, there are a lot of artists that either they can ask for possession or they can already possess their own spirits. So this is why you see different scenarios playing out for different artists. For example, Erykah Badu. She's an artist. She's had albums. She's done some pretty controversial music videos, and can't nobody touch her. Why? Because she is very powerful herself spiritually. She is not a puppet. So that is why Erykah Badu is able to go and live her life and not worry about that versus somebody else that might get taken down. So before you go into the music industry, you better know, you better come and get some work done and connect with your spirits, because other than that, you'll be under the total control. And see, everybody is not connected with their spirits. They're not. Okay. And there's some people that don't have no spirits. So this is why they're very blank. And, you know, another witch can actually control another person and what they do to another person. And then a witch's spirits a witch can possess you at any time. Now, I don't go around doing that because I believe in freedom and liberation. So I would never do that to another human being or do harm to them. Now, I will tell you that some of these love spells that people are doing, that is considered to be spiritual possession. Because what you can do is you can take the spirit of your spiritual husband or wife and you can place it in a host. So I've seen people do things like that. This is why I don't do love spells on people. That is very, very dark magic that can potentially kill somebody. So that's why I don't do it, because a lot of times it's not meant to be done. Okay, this is why it's usually temporary. Okay, because regardless of what we say, love is very sacred. So, for example, if you're a witch and you have a spiritual husband, then what your spiritual husband can do is it can go out and obtain a body, a physical body, so that it can exist in the physical with you. Same thing as in Skeleton Key. Same thing. So this is the reason why people have to be careful when you're dealing with witches, because sometimes my spirits will do stuff and I can't control it. Now, the one thing that my spirits do not ever do is they do not harm children. My spirits love children, and not in a perverted way. My spirits love children in a very, very protective sense. Okay, so that's the one thing that we just don't do. And usually the only time we have to possess anybody over here is when that person has an intent to do wrong, because we're not going to sit up here and say that every time somebody commits a crime or kills somebody that it's a negative spirit of somebody else's. It can be that own person's intent. So what my spirits will do is they will go and they will possess that person that has that negative intent and turn it into something positive, or either turn them inside out. I have very, very protective spirits. Very, very protective spirits. This is why the witches that came for me, they had to go to somebody else, and they had to go to somebody else, and they had to go to somebody else. And if you notice, the people that come for me, their body literally starts to break down before them. And they're very angry at me because I look like this. In fact, I aged in reverse. I don't look old. Do I? I don't think I look old. Do I look like an old woman? I don't think I'll ever look like an old woman. You know that let me tell y'all something. There are some of us that are just blessed that way. Okay, seriously. But if you notice somebody that is truly under demonic possession, they got to wear a whole boatload of makeup. Their skin is deteriorating. Their body is deteriorating. You see what I'm saying? So some people, especially them people that be looking all young and stuff, because I've always had a baby face and I used to look like a baby. Like when I was 13 and 14, I just looked like a grown baby is what I look like. So I actually have aged, but I've aged very gracefully. Even though I haven't been very kind to my body, I've done things that I shouldn't have done. I've actually almost died of alcohol poisoning before, years ago, before I had children. Okay, because I had some very destructive spirits that I was dealing with. And it took me up until I had children to turn my life around. Okay, so I've never been Miss Pollyanna perfect. Okay, but the thing of it is about spiritual possession is that, especially when you're dealing with a witch has access to many spirits. And sometimes if you come for that witch, witches can become possessed by those spirits during times of war. Because my innate nature is not to do harm to nobody. I don't want to do harm to nobody. I would never, ever, ever just come after somebody and do harm to them. And I think it's very important for people to understand this about some people. Some people have a very, very innate nature that is very, very evil. Somebody like me, the reason why I might become possessed by somebody like Lilith or Kali Ma or another deity is for protection. Okay, because where I'm gonna sit there and say, I don't really feel like doing this, I'd rather focus on something else, they gonna say, no, you got to get this person. And they not gonna come through nobody else but me. And I get attacked quite a bit on here because I am an authentic witch. I was born a witch. Okay, I was born this way. In fact, when I was residing with my aunt, it was way too much for my mother to handle. This is why I don't necessarily blame her, because it was too much for her to handle. So when I was born, my aunt took care of me from the time I was born until I was 5 years old. And what she did was she taught me about my spiritual gifts, and she used to practice on me because her son passed on at a very young age. He was in his 20s when he passed away. And he's still one of my guardians. And so what she used to do, because I was there on his deathbed with him when he died. So I've had knowledge of death and the way that it worked. They said that I was sitting right. My aunt would take me. She said she would take me to the hospital, and I would sit right in the hospital bed with him. And because I was very close to them. And so my whole entire life, my entire family would be like, I can't believe you don't remember your cousin. I can't believe you don't remember him, because I blocked it out because it must have been very painful. But what my auntie used to do was, when he did pass away, she would actually have me communicate with his spirit because she knew that I had those gifts. Okay. And so most of the time, if you are born possessing those gifts, guess what? You're a witch. And I don't apologize for it. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. You know what? I've been thinking about going and getting my teeth whitened or whatever. Because, I've been drinking coffee and drinking wine and stuff, which can leave stains and stuff. But thank you. So spiritual possession is not a bad thing. There's a lot of people like, oh, she's possessed. Yeah, that's because you're coming for me and you're attacking my family. And I'm not going to play those games with nobody, because I am very, very serious about protecting my family. And in the other lifetimes that I have manifested, I was the same exact way. I was the same exact way. Okay. So I'm very, very, very protective over my babies. And I'm very, very, very protective over my loved ones. I don't allow nobody to come for nobody that I care about. Okay. And that includes my clients. Okay. So this is another thing I want to tell my clients. It is extremely important that when you are working with me on any kind of spiritual work that you don't work with anybody else. Please don't do that. Don't go to somebody else and say, this is something that is considered to be a violation. Okay? So you don't want to ever, ever, ever. Uh-oh. Hold on. You don't want to ever, ever, ever go and work with more than one witch at once, because you never know what that other witch's intent is. Because for me, my intent is to, number one, okay, we want witchcraft to be mainstream. We want to integrate it. This is why you're seeing this everywhere, even in the commercials that come on the TV these days. So our world has changed a whole lot, in particular in the past 5 years. So I knew that there was going to be war over my own energy. I knew that because other entities want to possess you so that you will work and do their bidding. Well, I don't do that. I believe that everybody has the right to their own spiritual energy. Okay. Oh yeah, absolutely. I don't have no choice but to protect my clients. I wouldn't be a practitioner if I didn't. If you're a spiritualist, you have to protect your clients. And a lot of times when you're dealing with clients, you have to be able to tell them what to do and what not to do. And if my spirits say, don't do this, then we're not going to do it. If they say, do this, then we're going to do it. And you have to have trust in the work that I'm doing for you. You cannot ever doubt or lack faith in where your spirits have guided you to. You can't do that. Okay? Because it's all a part of the learning and the growing process. All of it is. Hey, Faith York, hello. Alan Jones says, I notice how some videos have warlocks in them. You know, every musician, doctor, lawyer, police officer, grocery store worker, McDonald's worker, Taco Bell worker, I don't care if you work for the sanitation department in your city, you have to have spiritual protection, no matter what you do. So anytime you are earning any kind of money, you're using your energy to manifest, guess what? You're a witch. So a lot of people that say things like, oh, let's kill all the witches. Well, then you must be talking about yourself then. Okay. And the spirits are not dumb. They know exactly we're not on the barter and trade system. We are actually, the way that the money system is set up is that you have to do something in order to earn money, unless you just have a bunch of money. And typically people that have a bunch of money like that, you know, they can get very bored. So they still do things to express their creative energy. Okay. Because I wouldn't care if I was filthy rich, I would still be doing this. Okay. And I was a late bloomer. So a lot of you that are in your 20s and 30s, when you get to be my age, that stuff can really seriously start to mess with your mind, because you want to ignore the spirits. You want to ignore your own spirits, and they are shouting at you, screaming at you all the time. And a lot of people will just pop a pill. Oh, I've got to ignore that. Let me pop a pill because I want to ignore this. And then that's when you're going to meet the devil. So there's a lot of people, they'll go and they'll take things like Prozac, Celexa, I heard that Alexa was really screwing people up big time. And a lot of people will say, oh my God, it was the devil, right? And see, that is because you closed your mind off to your own spirits, and those other entities were able to take over. So you have to be very careful when you are, medicating yourself. Okay. So be careful with that, because that's the first thing that they want to do is they want to give people like me some kind of medication. Well, as you can see, I'm unbothered until somebody comes for me and starts threatening me. So I'm not running around here screaming and hollering in the streets and all that stuff. That's because I've gotten control over that. I've been under demonic possession so many times that it's nothing to me. It's literally nothing to me. Okay. I've been under spiritual possession literally for the past several months straight. Yeah, you can. Don't listen. Don't be afraid of death. Don't be afraid of necromancy. Don't be afraid of any of these witches on here. The only person that you have to be afraid of is yourself. That's the only person that you have to be afraid of. Okay? Don't ever, ever, ever think that any of these witches on here can kill you. So, how can you tell if you're under spiritual warfare? Well, I mean, there's a lot of different symptoms of that. Maybe your man will start attacking you. Maybe your kids will start attacking you. Maybe your dogs will attack you. You'll start to have all sorts of, bad luck and bad stuff that may come into your life. You may have these thought processes that don't belong to you. You like, wait a minute, why am I thinking this? This is not who I am. So there's a lot of different symptoms of that. I mean, even I have to deal with spiritual warfare. And the spiritual warfare that we are under right now is for a much higher purpose than what people try to make it look like. It ain't about stealing somebody's man. It ain't about killing somebody. You know what I'm saying? I have a question. Say I'm embarking on a new journey. I want to change my name. Is this odd, or is this what one should do when becoming a new person? I totally stand behind a person changing their name. If you want to change your name, you should absolutely do it. Just because your name was given to you by your parents does not mean that you have to keep it, especially if it was a bad parent, because a lot of times people will say, well, what's in a name? There's a mark in that name that you have. So for me, I've already changed my spiritual name to Rain, Rain. Okay. But if you want to change your name, you should do it. And it is very spiritual to change your name, because what you're doing is you are taking off somebody else's influence over you. and you're changing yourself. So it's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. Well, are your parents willing to call you by your new name? I know my parents still call me Shani. So, you know, that was my nickname as a child, is Shani. And for me, my name does not bother me. It doesn't. Um, I've had them doing saying all kind of stuff under my first and my last name, and that's not gonna make no difference. That's not gonna make no difference. I think I have an appointment, you guys, so I have to wrap this up. I would love to go into more about spiritual possession, though, at another time, because I want people to stop being afraid. Okay? You have got to stop being afraid. And this is where I'm at. I'm not even going to lie to you. Let me show y'all where I'm at right now. Okay? And I love this illustration of the world card. Okay. It's when you know all things and you just flow with it. You got all this energy being thrown at you, but you know how to transmute it. You know how to deal with it. And you're not wondering. It's the last of the major arcanas, which is the world card. This is why I love, 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 love. So if you see this person, right? First of all, the hourglass with all of the sand at the bottom shows that this person is grounded. And even though they are literally floating in the middle of outer space, which is what we're doing on this earth, we're floating in the middle of outer space. And there's all these energies surrounding you. You know, it kind of reminds me of Neo. When people are just throwing all kind of energy at you and you're trying to to um to um to commune with it all, or to not allow that energy to tear you down. Look at this. See, that's where you want to be. You don't want to be to the point where this world has destroyed you so much that, you know, you just want to be off this world. So that's what a lot of people do. And I understand that it's hard. It can be very, very hard dealing with the world, but you can do it. You just have to have faith in yourself. Okay. You got to have faith and trust in yourself, and faith and trust in your spirits. Okay. I'm not talking about blind faith. I'm talking about, what do you see that actually works and works long term? The correct way to cleanse yourself of bad karma would be a white candle cleanse. Okay. And then you also have to know inside of your mind what it is that you did that messed up your karma, so that you won't end up making that mistake again. So I actually provide cleanses for people. The best way to cleanse yourself is with fire. Now, you're not going to burn yourself up in a fire. No, that would be suicide. But a white candle cleanse does the trick just like that. Also, taking your cleansing baths is very important. You're welcome. Yeah. Well, it's how did I get my knowledge about spiritual possession? And there's so much more that I can cover with you guys, but I have a reading scheduled. There's so much more that I can cover with you when it comes to spiritual possession. But I will tell you is that, you know, if you are somebody that possesses the gifts of a psychic medium, and I believe that there's a lot of people that were born with those gifts, but I believe that they were closed off. They were shut down at a very young age. And if you want to start to open yourself up to that, then do it, but do it safely. You have to do it safely. You can use black candles as well. Black candles will work for cleansing as well, and banishing. So if you got to banish something, then you want to use black. Okay. I'll come back a little bit later on to talk to you guys about this. I got to go and grab me something to eat and get ready for my reading. I eat before my readings. I don't know about y'all, but I put something on my stomach. So, you know, because to do a reading and to use your spiritual gifts is going to require food. You got to be able to. So I do know that there's some people, they're like, oh, I'm so spiritual and I'm not eating or whatever. Well, you know, I don't have no reason to not eat. I need to eat. So a lot of people, they don't want you to eat because they don't want you to be strong. So make sure that you're nourishing yourself, especially if you're a healer, because healers have to eat. And, you know, you want to get you some potatoes and some eggs and some milk. Okay. So your diet is going to play a pivotal role in how you feel. It is. It's going to play a pivotal role in how you feel. And I know there's a lot of people they're like, oh, I'm so spiritual and I'm vegan and I don't eat meat or whatever. And that's perfectly fine. But that's not a part of my spiritual journey at all. So I eat food. Okay. Yeah. So I'll come back a little bit about and talk more about spiritual possession. And I'll do a part 2 to this because there's a lot more that I want to cover with you guys. A lot more. And you'll be shocked to find out that most people are walking in possession. But who in the hell are they possessed by? Who they possessed by? Because I pick and choose who I become possessed by. I don't allow anybody to possess me. And so that is why you have to be very, very careful out here. Okay? Because like I said, there's a lot of folks that are under possession, but who is it by? Some of y'all are under possession by very, very dangerous entities. And they don't care about you. They don't. And your physical body will give out. And then your children will be crying at your funeral. Okay? In fact, there's a lot of people that are sick. I'm going to come back and I'm going to explore more about how a lot of the diseases and sicknesses are spiritual possession. When somebody got cancer, when somebody got diseases and high blood pressure, that is spiritual possession. I bet y'all didn't even know that, did you? So it's a lot more than I can talk to you about when it comes to spiritual possession. So a lot of your diseases, your so-called mental illness, your so-called physical illnesses, that is because there is something possessing you and it's squatted in that area of your body. And now that area is giving out. So it is very, very important for people to understand what is going on spiritually in this world. Okay. I'll see y'all later.